The city never truly sleeps, but some buildings at night feel like they're holding their breath, waiting for something unseen. This is the story of Maya, a college student working the graveyard shift as a security guard at the Sterling Tower, a sleek but mostly vacant office building in downtown Chicago. She needed the money, and the quiet hours seemed perfect for studying. She quickly learned, however, that silence could be its own kind of company, and sometimes it brought unwelcome guests. Maya usually spent her nights patrolling the empty floors, the only sound the hum of the ventilation system and the echo of her own footsteps on the polished concrete. The higher floors were particularly eerie, entire levels unoccupied, the darkened windows offering a dizzying view of the sleeping city below. One night, during her 3 a.m. rounds on the 37th floor, she noticed something unusual. The door to Suite 3708, a floor that was supposed to be completely empty, was slightly ajar. A sliver of dim light spilled into the hallway. Maya's heart pounded. She cautiously approached, her flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. "Security, is anyone there?" She called out, her voice echoing in the stillness. No response. She slowly pushed the door open. The office was sparsely furnished, clearly in the process of being vacated. Boxes were stacked against the walls, covered in dust sheets. But there was no one there, except for the light. It was coming from a small desk lamp in the far corner, casting long, distorted shadows. Maya distinctly remembered turning off all the lights on this floor during her last round. The light switch by the door, plunging the office into darkness. Then, just as she was about to leave, she heard it. A faint, rhythmic tapping sound coming from inside one of the cardboard boxes. Tap, 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 like someone gently knocking from within. Maya froze, her breath caught in her throat. She shone her flashlight at the boxes. Nothing. The tapping stopped. She waited, listening intently. Then it started again, softer this time, but undeniably there. She backed out of the suite, locking the door behind her. She reported the incident to her supervisor in the morning, but he dismissed it as faulty wiring or her imagination. But Maya couldn't shake the feeling. Next few nights, the incidents escalated. She'd hear faint whispers coming from the empty floors, just at the edge of hearing, like someone was trying to communicate from far away. Elevators would move on their own, stopping at floors no one was on. And the tapping from Suite 3708 became more insistent, sometimes accompanied by a low scratching sound. At one particularly foggy night, the fog clinging to the skyscraper like a ghostly shroud, Maya was reviewing security footage. She noticed something chilling. Around 2:15 a.m., a faint, translucent figure appeared briefly in the hallway outside Suite 3708. It was tall and gaunt, its features indistinct, and it seemed to be staring directly at the door. It vanished as quickly as it appeared. The timestamp confirmed she had been on a different floor at that time. Asterisk terror gripped Maya. She knew she wasn't alone in the Sterling Tower at night. She started avoiding the 37th floor, making excuses during her rounds. But one night, the main power flickered and died, plunging the entire building into darkness. Only the emergency lights flickered dimly. Maya's radio crackled to life. It was her supervisor, his voice strained. "Maya, there's been a power surge. Check the generator room on the 37th floor." Her blood ran cold. She had no choice. Armed with her flashlight, she reluctantly made her way to the 37th floor. The silence was heavier now, the darkness more oppressive. As she approached Suite 3708, she heard the tapping again, louder than ever, frantic. And then, a voice, a faint, raspy whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. She ran down 37 flights of stairs, not stopping until she burst out into the cold, foggy Chicago night. She quit the next morning, unable to explain what had truly happened. She sometimes glances up at the towering skyscrapers, and she shivers, wondering who or what is still trapped in the silent floors of the Sterling Tower, tapping and whispering in the dark. In the quiet hours when the city sleeps, even the most mundane places can become stages for the uncanny, where the remedies are not for the living. This is the story of Chloe, a pharmacy technician working the overnight shift at a 24-hour drugstore in a less than glamorous part of Chicago. It wasn't her dream job, but it paid the bills. She mostly dealt with the occasional insomniac or third shift worker needing toiletries. But one series of late-night customers would leave her questioning everything she thought she knew about life and beyond. The usual late-night routine was predictable: stocking shelves, filling prescriptions for the rare emergency, and trying to stay awake. Then, about a month ago, they started. The late-night requests. It always happened between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. The bell above the door would chime, and a figure would enter, often cloaked or hooded, their face obscured. They would approach the counter and ask for very specific, old-fashioned remedies: belladonna tinctures, valerian root in unusual concentrations, specific herbs rarely stocked. They always paid in cash, often worn and faded bills, and they never spoke more than a few hushed words. Chloe found it odd, but initially dismissed it as eccentric customers. But then she noticed the pattern. They always appeared when the store was completely empty. Otherwise, they never lingered. And they all had a strange, almost ethereal quality about them, like they weren't quite fully present. One night, a woman in a long, dark coat asked for a strong infusion of monkshood for a lingering ailment. Chloe, feeling uneasy, checked the stock. They had a small amount, usually used in homeopathic preparations. As Chloe retrieved it, the woman's hand brushed hers during the transaction. It was ice cold. Later that night, Chloe looked up monkshood. She discovered it was highly poisonous, historically used in certain rituals and folk remedies, but extremely dangerous. A shiver ran down her spine. The requests continued, each more unsettling than the last. One man asked for nightshade extract for restful sleep. Another sought yarrow steeped in rainwater collected under a full moon. Chloe started feeling a growing sense of dread every time the bell above the door chimed in the dead of night. One particularly slow night, around 3:30 a.m., the bell rang. A young man, his face pale and drawn, his eyes shadowed, approached the counter. He asked for a poultice of graveyard dirt and rue. Chloe's blood ran cold. "They definitely didn't stock that. Sir, I don't think we carry that," Chloe stammered, her voice trembling slightly. The young man's eyes fixed on her, and for the first time, Chloe saw them clearly. They were dull, lifeless, filled with an ancient sorrow. His voice was a dry, raspy whisper. "But I need it. I can't rest." Before Chloe could respond, the security camera above the counter flickered and died. The lights in the store dimmed momentarily. When they returned to full brightness, the young man was gone. The bell above the door hadn't chimed. Chloe frantically checked the security footage playback. The camera had simply cut out for a few seconds. There was no record of the young man leaving. After that night, Chloe started keeping a log of the late-night requests. She researched the ingredients, finding connections to old folklore, herbalism, and sometimes darker practices. She felt like she was serving customers from another realm. She tried to talk to her manager, but he just told her she was working too many late shifts and needed more sleep. But Chloe knew what she had seen, what she had felt. She eventually quit the pharmacy, unable to bear the thought of who might walk through that door in the dead of night. She now works a daytime job, but sometimes, when she's alone in a quiet room, she catches the faint scent of strange herbs, and she wonders who is still seeking remedies in the stillness of the night. and what ailments they truly suffer from. Some artifacts hold more than just history. They hold echoes, remnants, and sometimes something that doesn't want to stay confined. This is the story of Ben, a quiet, unassuming young man working the night shift as a janitor at the Chicago Museum of Unnatural History. It was a quirky museum filled with oddities, taxidermied creatures of dubious origin, and strange relics from forgotten eras. Ben usually enjoyed the solitude, the chance to wander the silent halls surrounded by the bizarre. But one exhibit, tucked away in the dimly lit basement, would turn his nights into a terrifying descent into the unknown. Ben's routine involved cleaning the various exhibits, emptying trash cans, and ensuring the building was secure. The basement, however, always gave him the creeps. It housed the museum's more obscure and unsettling collection, including tribal masks with unsettlingly large eyes, ancient tools said to have been used in dark rituals, and the infamous cursed idol of Ixthul, a grotesque stone figure kept behind thick glass. One night, while sweeping near the cursed idol, Ben heard a faint chinking sound coming from inside its glass enclosure. He stopped, his heart pounding. He peered closely at the idol. It was just a statue, its carved features frozen in a silent scream. He dismissed it as his imagination, but over the next few weeks the sounds intensified. He'd hear soft scuttling, noises coming from the basement storage rooms, like something small and multi-legged was moving in the darkness. He'd find display cases inexplicably unlocked, and the air in the basement always felt colder, heavier. The cursed idol seemed to be the focal point of the strangeness. Sometimes Ben would swear he saw its eyes move, just a fraction, when he wasn't looking directly at it. The chinking sound became more frequent, like something was tapping against the inside of the glass. One particularly stormy night, the power flickered, plunging the museum into darkness for a few terrifying seconds. When the emergency lights came on, casting an eerie green glow, Ben noticed something horrifying. The cursed idol was no longer facing straight ahead. Its grotesque head was now turned slightly to the left, its hollow eyes seeming to stare directly at him. Ben backed away slowly, his flashlight beam shaking. He knew it hadn't been like that before. He was the only one in the museum. He started avoiding the basement, focusing his cleaning on the upper floors. But the unsettling occurrences followed him. He'd hear faint breathing behind him in the empty halls, the rustling of unseen things in the storage closets. The climax came during his final rounds. As he passed the main hall, he saw it. A faint, dark residue, like fine dust or ash, was spreading out from under the basement door, across the polished floor. It seemed to be moving, slowly, inexorably. Terror seized Ben. He knew something was trying to get out of the basement. He fumbled for his radio, trying to call security, but it was dead. He had to get out. He ran towards the main entrance, but as he reached the doors, they slammed shut with a deafening boom. He was trapped inside. He heard the scuttling in the distance, growing closer. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of dust and something ancient, something foul. He could hear a low dragging sound coming from the direction of the basement stairs. Ben didn't wait. He scrambled into one of the smaller exhibit rooms, hiding behind a large taxidermied bear. He could hear the dragging getting closer, the scuttling all around him now. And then, a slow, deliberate tapping on the door of the exhibit room. He huddled behind the bear, his heart pounding, his flashlight clutched in his trembling hand. He could hear a faint, wet gurgling sound just outside the door. The tapping continued, slow, rhythmic, like something impatient, something waiting. Ben stayed hidden until dawn, when the first of the day staff arrived to find him huddled and terrified. He tried to explain what had happened, but they just looked at him with concern. The basement was checked. Everything was as it should be. The cursed idol stood silently in its enclosure. Ben quit that day, unable to face another night in the Museum of Unnatural History. He sometimes has nightmares about the tapping, the dragging, and the feeling of something ancient and evil lurking in the darkness. He still wonders what that dark residue was, and if the cursed idol of Ixthul is still silently waiting in the basement, its gaze fixed on the door, its patience endless.